Hey everyone, welcome back to the Charles Oliveira fan club for another banger video. In today's video, I'm going to go over my predictions for UFC 309 at Madison Square Garden. Charles Oliveira himself is fighting on this card. I'm very nervous for that fight, very excited. I'll get into all of that when we get to the fight. But overall, the card as a whole, not that good. Not that good. The matchmaking is just stupid. We all know John Jones should be fighting the interim champion in Tom Aspinall, not the number 8th ranked guy who hasn't fought in like 4 years and got knocked down in his last fight. Charles Oliveira versus Michael Chandler is a stupid fight. Chandler doesn't deserve it. And the rest of the card is just like kind of whatever. Like this card just lacks depth, lacks good fights. Like I don't really care about the rest of these fights except the Mauricio Rufy fight. That's a good fight. But like Viviane Araújo versus Karine Silva on the main event, on the main card of an MSG pay-per-view. What the hell are we doing, UFC? What are we doing here? Why? Dude, that fight should be on the early prelims. I don't know why it's on the main card, but anyway, man, that's just the card we got to work with it. Don't worry, I won't be predicting that fight. If you were scared, I would. But anyway, let's move on to Mauricio Rufy versus James Lontop at lightweight. Mauricio Rufy is a huge favorite in this fight. James Lontop is a huge underdog, obviously. And I'm on the Mauricio Rufy hype train. I'm on the Fighting Nerds Gym hype train. Like recently, he comes from the gym he's from is called the Fighting Nerds Gym, and just the guys from that gym have been doing very well in the UFC. You know, Kai Brahalio's at middleweight, Gene Silva at featherweight, and Carlos Prates just actually fought last weekend. He beat Neil Magny to get in the rankings at welterweight. So these guys have been doing very, very well in the UFC, and I think Mauricio Rufy is no exception. If you watch his last fight in the UFC, keep in mind that was his UFC debut. Like he pretty much looked flawless in that last fight, and I think it's going to be something similar here. I think he's going to have a dominant performance, round 1 knockout against James Lontop. I just think he's levels above James Lontop, Mauricio Rufy. But yeah, I'm 100% on the hype train of this guy and just of the Fighting Nerds in general. So yeah, I'm pretty confident in this pick. Next fight is Bo Nickel versus Paul Craig at middleweight. Bo Nickel is a massive favorite in this fight. Paul Craig is the underdog, of course. And I'm going to pick Bo Nickel by round 1 submission. I think it's rightly so that he's a minus 1,000 favorite. That is seriously a huge favorite. And, you know, I think he's going to get it down round 1 submission. Bo Nickel is a very good grappler. Paul Craig just hasn't been looking great in his fights recently. So I think Bo Nickel is going to win here. I think he's a decent prospect. I mean, I don't think he's going to become champion. He's not amazing, but he's good. He's a very good grappler, and I think he's gonna beat Paul Craig. He's gonna submit Paul Craig in round 1 and probably get a ranked fight next. But anyway, yeah, that's my thoughts on this fight. On to Charles Oliveira. In the co-main event, we have Charles Oliveira versus Michael Chandler. Before I get into this fight, I'm going to discuss a little bit about the matchup. It's a stupid fight. it just shouldn't be happening. It doesn't make sense for multiple reasons. I mean, Charles Oliveira coming off a very close fight with Arman Tsarukyan. I agree that he needs to fight down the rankings. I do agree with that, but it should be against like a rising contender, not Michael Chandler. Michael Chandler, last fight was in 2022 against Dustin Poirier. He got finished by Dustin Poirier. He got subbed by Dustin Poirier. He does not deserve this fight with Charles at all. And then he also, he took off 2 years to fight with Conor McGregor. That fight didn't end up happening. But, I think Michael Chandler versus Dustin Poirier would have been a much better fight. They had a very close fight the first time, and there's some beef there. The fight Charles Oliveira and Michael Chandler had the first time, it wasn't close. Well, okay, it was a close fight. It was a competitive fight. But Oliveira finished him in the second round. I mean, I know Chandler won the first, but Oliveira finished him in the second. It would have made much more sense for Michael Chandler to fight Dustin Poirier or Justin Gaethje. You know, Charles Oliveira should be fighting Dan Hooker. That would have been a much better fight instead of Oliveira versus Chandler. We've seen this fight before, and Michael Chandler doesn't deserve it, and it just doesn't make sense as a fight. But it's the fight we have, and it's going to be a banger. Both of these guys are very, very entertaining fighters, so hopefully it is going to be a banger. But yeah, I am very nervous for Charles in this fight. I'm very, very nervous. Michael Chandler, if Michael Chandler uses any IQ in this fight, he's going to be a dangerous matchup for Charles. He is a bad matchup for Charles Oliveira. Charles Oliveira's two biggest weaknesses of his game plan, I'm pretty sure everyone would agree, is his striking defense and probably his wrestling. And Michael Chandler, he hits very hard. He's very explosive. Not the most technical guy, so I don't think he's really gonna just land a punch and just sleep Oliveira. He might land a punch and sleep Oliveira. That is definitely a possibility that I unfortunately see. I do have nightmares about it. In case any of you are wondering, but I think more likely the wrestling is going to be a problem. Like, if Michael Chandler uses his wrestling properly, I think he can beat Charles Oliveira by control time, But yeah, that's why I say it's a bad matchup for Oliveira. When you look at that first fight, Chandler was having a lot of success in the first round. Chandler won the first round, and I don't know, it's just scary, man. It is just scary as one of Charles Oliveira's biggest fans. I cannot suffer through another Charles Oliveira loss unless it's to Islam Makhachev or someone. But yeah, Charles does have much cleaner striking on the feet, and I think he does have some better jiu-jitsu on the ground. So it's a hard fight to pick. I don't like that Oliveira is such a big favorite. It feels like people are kind of looking past Chandler. It's kind of like a Bilal Leon type situation. Everyone picked Leon, and then Bilal just ended up having a huge upset. So I can see Chandler having an upset, and I'm very scared about that. I am very scared that could be happening. It's not usual that Charles is such a big favorite in this fight. Usually, he is the underdog in all of his fights, but this time he's the favorite. But anyway, on to my prediction. I think Charles Oliveira is going to win. I'm not going to pick against my homeboy Charles Oliveira. I'm pretty much always going to pick Charles Oliveira in every fight that he's in, no matter how ridiculous it is, even if he fights Francis Ngannou at heavyweight. But yeah, no, I think he's going to get a round 2 submission. I think the first round goes pretty much the exact same as the first fight. I think Chandler is going to win the first round. Even patient Michael Chandler, I think he's going to win the first round. And then Oliveira in the second round, I think Oliveira is going to catch him probably a cross or something, and then submit him on the ground. Similar to what happened with Justin Gaethje and Charles Oliveira, similar to what happened with Michael Chandler and Dustin Poirier. So yeah, it's probably going to be a rear naked choke from Charles Oliveira. You could go for something else, but probably rear naked. But yeah, I think Charles, just his striking and his jiu-jitsu I think it gives him the edge over Chandler. But like I said, Chandler is a bad matchup for Oliveira, and I unfortunately see a reality in which Michael Chandler's hand is raised. And I don't want that to happen, dude. I really don't want that to happen. And I don't know, it becomes as we get closer to the fight, the more nervous I get, the more likely it seems that Michael Chandler might actually win this fight. He said, he's going to be more patient now compared to when he last fought, and I can't see that happening. Previously, Michael Chandler would just come out in the first round like a bat out of hell, throw these looping overhands, and then in the later rounds of the fight, he'd get a little bit more tired out and start making stupid decisions. He was pretty much just focused on being entertaining. Now he said, he's focused on getting the belt. I seriously don't think he beats Islam Makhachev, but I mean, I think he might honestly be determined to win here. So yeah, I don't know, man. I'm very scared for Charles in this matchup, but I'm still gonna pick Charles Oliveira by round 2 submission. I think it's likely for Charles to win, and it's also likely for Chandler to win. It's a difficult fight to pick, but I'm the Charles Oliveira fan club channel. I gotta go with Charles Oliveira for this fight, and I'm gonna go with him by round 2 submission. I think it's gonna go pretty much similar to the first fight, and then the second round, Oliveira's gonna catch him and submit him on the ground, because Charles has some of the best jiu-jitsu in the sport, arguably the best jiu-jitsu in the sport. But anyway, on to the main event. Main event is Jon Jones versus Stipe Miocic for the heavyweight title of the world, the fake heavyweight title of the world. The real heavyweight champion is Tom Aspinall. Tom Aspinall should be fighting Jon Jones here instead of Stipe. Tom Aspinall deserves it the most, undoubtedly, 100%. Tom Aspinall is the interim champion. He defended the interim belt. He actually has a winning streak going. Stipe, I like Stipe, man. I do like Stipe, but the last time he fought was 3 years ago, 2021. and he got like killed by Francis Ngannou, dude. He got like he died in his last fight, dude. He got absolutely flatline KO'd by Francis Ngannou. Like, and nowadays he's freaking limping into arenas. Like it's so clear that he doesn't deserve the fight with John Jones. I'm not gonna go into it too much, but yeah. John Jones is just clearly ducking Tom Aspinall. He wants to ride off into the sunset, retire undefeated. But I don't think Stipe is going to let that happen. I know Stipe is old, limping into arenas, wash, whatever. Prime for prime, I think Stipe beats John Jones. John Jones doesn't have any boxing, basically. His boxing is terrible. Stipe has some very good boxing, John Jones' strongest aspects probably is his clinch work and his wrestling, maybe. Stipe has great wrestling as well, and Stipe also has great takedown defense. So, I think if Stipe actually shows up for this fight, and you see, if he's actually training hard, then I think he can win. I genuinely think he can win if he actually shows up to this fight. I don't know how likely that is, but yeah. This is kind of more like a joke pick than like, I actually think Stipe is gonna win. Like, I don't know, man. Like, the more we think about it, the more like Stipe might actually win this. But yeah, it is kind of a joke pick, but I'm gonna go with it. I am gonna go with it. I obviously want Stipe to win. That would pretty much save the heavyweight division. We wouldn't have John Jones just clogging up the division. Yeah. Like, John Jones is. No one wants John Jones to win. He's just a scumbag, fake champion. He's just a fraud. So yeah, I really want Stipe to win this fight. I think everyone else does as well. And I think he might actually win, dude. His boxing is just way better than John Jones. I think he can keep the fight on the feet. I think he can keep the fight on the feet, especially if he shows up. And I think he might actually show up for this fight. I think, I'm either going to look like an absolute clown for doing this or an absolute, like, genius. Hopefully an absolute genius. But yeah, I'm picking Stipe for the main event. That's going to do it for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to drop your picks in the comments down below. Are you vibing with the Stipe pick or not? What do you guys think of Charles? I really want Charles to win. If Charles doesn't win, man, I'm gonna be very, very sad. But yeah, I was asked by Bunkbed to do a top 30 UFC fighters of all time list. I have it ready. I was gonna record it, but I'm waiting till after this card. There are a couple legends, aka John Jones and Stipe, fighting on this card. So, and yeah, the results of that fight could change some things on the GOAT list. So I'm gonna wait until this card is ended and just edits a few things on the slides and stuff. But yeah, I will have that video out pretty soon, so make sure to subscribe to my channel if you want to see that. I think I have a pretty good GOAT list, especially compared to some of these other people on YouTube. But anyway, yeah, thanks so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe. See you guys next time. Goodbye.